All right, so let's try to make our search results look a little bit nicer. We'll probably come back to this later on and clean it up a bit, but we can do a couple of things right now. For one, I think we can actually fit 2 results per row, and I also would like to move the Load More button down to the bottom, so when you've scrolled down here, you can click Load More right there rather than having to scroll back up. And we may make a couple of modifications to the text input. So let's start off with adding 2 results per row. And to make things a little bit easier for us, since we may be refreshing and researching over and over again, let's initialize our search query to be Turkey so that every time we reload, we don't have to type in a search query and click search. We've got Turkey right there. We can go ahead and click search and get our results. All right, so to get 2 per row, we're going to update our render current results function. We still want the no results text if we have no results, but let's try to put that in the center instead. So let's add a view here, and we'll say styles flex1, align items center, and into the view. So now the text will look a little bit nicer when there are no results. And down here, instead of using the map function, let's create an array called results, where we'll put all of our Google Poly assets, and let's do a loop for var I equals 0, I is less than this dot state dot current results dot length, and I plus plus. What this is going to do is it's going to grab 2 results at a time, put them into a view with a flex direction of row, and show all of those results. So first thing we should do is we should check if we're on the very last result and we don't have an extra one, then we don't want to try to add 2. So let's check if I equals this dot state dot current results dot length minus 1. Then we're just going to return a Google Poly asset whose asset is now equal to this dot state dot current results I, and whose key is now I. And we'll break from the function. But if we're not on the last one, which means we do have at least one more, we can, oh, I'm sorry, this should not be returned, this should be results dot push, because we're adding to the results array, and then down here, after the loop, we're going to return our results like that. We'll just delete the map function right there. Okay, so now in this section of code, we know that we've got at least one more result, so we'll say results.push, and in this case, we're going to push a view, which has a style of flex direction row. And inside of that view, we're going to have 2 Google Poly assets, one for the current result, one for the next result. So we'll say I here, and I plus 1, I plus 1. And since we're looking at 2 results at a time, we want to change our loop to be I plus equals 2. So instead of going up by 1 each iteration, we'll go up by 2 each iteration. And that should be all. Let's save and take a look at what our results look like now. One thing I do want to do is turn off the disable yellow box feature so that if we do get any errors, we'll see them. Let's refresh. And we'll click search to get our search results. And we are still getting this key error, but we are getting 2 results per page, it looks like. So let's figure out what's wrong with this error first. I believe it's because the view doesn't have a key. So we'll set the key here equal to, let's say, row plus I. Okay, we've eliminated the error. We got 2 results per row, but we want to center these a little bit and maybe add some padding in between them. So to center them, let's put our results into a view. So we'll say return view with the style of flex1 and align items center. Inside of that view, we'll put our results, get rid of that. And to add some padding in between these, we'll go into the Google Poly Asset component, and in our container style, let's just add some padding of about 10. So save that, save our home screen, may have to refresh again, and click search, and there you go. We've got some padding in between rows, 2 results per row, everything's looking good there. So we'll collapse this because it looks good right now. And we said we're going to put the load more button towards the bottom. That's easy to do. We'll just cut this and paste it right below the results. And if we click search, we've got our results with a load more button down here. And for some reason it's getting cut off at the end. So why don't we just add a view here with some padding on the top just to give us some extra space so we can see everything. I'll click search, load more, great. Now something I just noticed is we're getting a load more button even if we don't have any results, and I actually would like to hide that button until we have some initial results. So an easy way to do that is with the ternary operator. Let's take our load more button and put it into brackets and give us some space here. And what we'll do is we'll say if this.state.current_results.length equals 0, we're just going to show a blank view. But if it's not 0, we're going to show the load more button. So we'll save and refresh that. Now we're not getting the load more button. Once we have our initial results, we've got a load more button there, and we have some padding down below. Now for one last UI change, let's update our text input a little bit and make it look a little nicer. So I'll come to the text input here. We've already got some properties. I want to set the auto capitalize equal to false. Actually, I think it takes a string, so let's set it to none. And for the style, I want to add some padding, some margin on the horizontal of 10. Let's refresh and see how that looks. Okay, so it added a little bit of spacing here, and let's also give it a border radius of 10 to round off the edges. And I don't like how close the text is to the end of the box, so we'll also add some padding horizontal of 10 as well. Great.